everyone, and welcome to Platinum Prime Life Podcast. I'm Linda Ferguson, one of your hosts, and this is
Karen Nelson Bell. Hi, KNB.
Hey, so today, Karen, we're going to be talking about something that really affects everyone. I think I said that for our last episode, but this actually is something that, especially if you're a more mature adult, you're going to run into what our topic is today, and that is managing chronic pain. So chronic pain is something, fortunately for me, I have not had to live with. I just have minor things, but it's something that Karen, over the course of her life, has become quite an expert at. And so with that, I'm going to turn this over to Karen to sort of introduce us to the pain and what you can do to manage it. All right, Karen.
Oh my God, what a topic. What a topic. I have a silly story. I'll tell you a very quick silly story. I was diagnosed in 1990 with scoliosis, which is a curved spine, and mine is rotated at the bottom. So it creates imbalances that create pain. And not everybody that has scoliosis has pain, but I had terrible pain. Plus, I was playing 2 piano jobs in Las Vegas. I was playing 6 hours at one job and 6 hours at another job. Now, when you're playing piano, you don't have a backrest. You're just sitting there supporting yourself. And at the end of the night, I about had to crawl off the bench. And I was married to my beautiful late husband, Duncan. And when we went to the doctor asked, does this pain affect he was trying to get all the ramifications and the symptoms and everything. He said, does the pain cause you to have mood swings or be emotional? And I said, no, I don't think so. And Duncan just burst out laughing because he observed otherwise. He said, oh my God, you think you don't have mood or emotional changes from the pain? Who are you kidding? Was going through his mind. Oh, I'll never forget that. It was just so strange. When pain entered my life in 1990, and I had some miracles along the way with different things, but it's still there, and I still manage it. And I'll give you some ideas of how we manage it. But scoliosis is just one. I mean, I was looking at the list of what typically causes pain for women who are past 50. And I had like 4 of the 8. I had 50% of these causes. The first one is arthritis, and in particular osteoarthritis. So that's not at all uncommon. It's just due to wear and tear of the cartilage. And when you start to find out that you can't open that jar, you think it's just because you're a weak person with not enough strength. No, it's probably the osteoarthritis getting to you. And then the other one is chronic back pain. And of course, when you have scoliosis, you have back pain. Fibromyalgia is a widespread pain, and it has tenderness, and it's accompanied with fatigue and sleep problems. I have some friends. I had one particular friend in Vegas had terrible fibromyalgia. You don't want to wish that on anybody. You don't want to wish that on your worst enemy. Osteoporosis, which I inherited from my mother and my grandmother, but of course you can combat osteoporosis. There are wonderful modalities these days to combat that, and I've done everything I possibly could. But also, if you happen to have a surgery, like I had surgery 4 months ago, the pain after surgery seems at times intolerable. And I had 3 major surgeries in the last 2 years, none of them cosmetic, because if they were cosmetic, I'd have a beautiful jawline. But anyway, and they do list scoliosis as one of the causes. I didn't know it was that common. And neuropathic pain, nerve damage. You could have nerve damage. A lot of the nerve damage that we see, because diabetes is so predominant these days, 90% of Americans have a metabolic disorder. And it could be prediabetes, although an author that I follow, he says that there is no such thing as prediabetes. It's all diabetes. It's just little diabetes and big diabetes, which makes sense to me. And then the last type of pain is cancer-related pain. And we just have to be thankful that we haven't experienced that in our own bodies, but we've experienced it with our friends and relatives and loved ones. And so those are the types of pain. Now, that's a lot of pain going around. I think that it's not unusual. You said almost everyone could relate to this. Yeah, you may not have pain yourself. You might be 51 years old and you don't have any pain, because I was, what was I, 55 or so when in 1990, I guess I was 55, 56, something like that. And I didn't have any pain before then, especially if you're active and this and that. But boy, when it comes, it changes your life. It changes your life in so many ways. It limits what you can do socially. It limits what you can do physically. It limits whether you can work or not. It puts limits on your emotions. Just like my husband observed, I probably was grumpy some of the time. I can only imagine I was grumpy some of the time. So out of those things, do any of those indicators, does anything grab you that you think, oh, I never really thought about it. That might be osteoarthritis, or that might be arthritis. My thumb kind of hurts when I open the pickle jar. I don't know. So you're saying you haven't had to deal with pain?
For me, I haven't had chronic pain. So right here, let's actually spell out the difference between chronic pain and acute pain and pain. So chronic pain is pain that is continual. It's something, either it's always at a particular level or it's sharper or lesser, but it always is there. It's lingering in some way. So that's chronic. It's ongoing. And so we're talking about managing that kind of pain. And then you have acute pain. That's like poking yourself with a needle or something like that. And then you just have pain. So it's pain that comes about. Maybe you have a headache. You have something, it's like, but you handle it and it goes away. And so I'm going to say three different kinds of pains. There's, I'm sure, lots more.
Yeah, well,
and there's actually we're going to talk about the seven different things that you can do to manage chronic pain, but it really applies to a lot of different types of pain.
It just occurred to me that probably the knee surgery, right when you wake up, well, maybe 2 days later when the drugs have worn off and you don't have any drugs coursing through your system, and you go, oh, what the, why did I do that? I'm so sorry I did that. The knee replacement was elective. And it's acute at one point, but some people, myself included, go quite a while with the pain not lessening enough to be pain-free. Now I'm kind of, I'm enough pain-free to walk 2 to 3 miles a day. It doesn't feel great, but it doesn't hurt enough that I can't do it. So I don't know if you'd call that, it's like
it's chronic pain.
It's chronic.
You have to do things to manage it, right?
Please tell me it's not chronic, please.
Well, at the moment it is.
Yeah. Okay. So
it would be considered chronic pain. So, well,
all right.
So there are a couple of things I wanted to bring up. The first is just the types of pain that you can have.
Okay.
And the second is, we're not medical professionals. We're not pain professionals. So what we're talking about.
I beg to differ. I'm a pain professional.
Well, from the receiving end of pain. So what we're about to talk about are sort of best practices, good advice. But again, if you are experiencing any kind of pain and you're worried about it, you have to be worried about it. It has to sort of linger where you think, I have a pain and I don't know why. Is one of the pieces of advice, of course, is to check it out, get it checked out. And the good thing about being older, if you're of Medicare age, is the financial constraints that might have been with younger people who are on a limited budget, or they're very tightly budgeted out, where you think, oh, I don't want to open the door to having to outlay thousands of dollars for something. I'm worried about this, but Still, if you're younger and you're experiencing pain that isn't going away, definitely check it out. But if you're older and you have Medicare, there's no excuse for not checking it out, because you can always just call a doctor and get an appointment and figure it out. Okay, so we've got someone who has lived with chronic pain for much of her life and has figured out how to manage it over her life. And then me, who hasn't really lived with much, although interesting that you brought up scoliosis as a somewhat common source of chronic pain. Is I have backaches. And when I do certain things, those backaches become nagging, and it actually saps my energy and I have to sit down. And so the doctor says, "Oh, yeah, you have scoliosis." I went, "What? I do?"
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I've had it for a long time. I think I had it actually since I was a kid, but mine is super minor, meaning if I can build up my back muscles and it doesn't bother me at all. As I've gotten older, I haven't kept up those musculature levels of my youth, and so it's become more of a nagging thing. So that's just that. But let's go through the 7 steps of managing chronic pain. I'm going to give the big general thing, and then we're going to let Karen talk a little bit more about how to do that.
Thank you.
And then I will jump in, if I have anything to chip in.
I have a lot of opinions on this subject. That's for sure. So,
well, here's the first one. So you have a pain. You have a pain and it's not going away and you're very worried about it. Like, oh, what the heck? So the very first thing is understand your pain. And here are some of the tips. And then I want you to just say what you're going to say.
Okay. Well,
so first is you identify where your pain is located and how it feels. And then write it down so that you can describe it. Because when you go to have it checked out, you are going to be asked these questions. So just make sure you have clarity in your own mind on where it is and how sharp it is, when did it start, how bad does it get. Learn the difference between chronic and acute, something we just went over, and then be seen by a healthcare professional who can diagnose you. So understanding your pain. So give us some examples for you, Karen.
Well, the first time was my mother was in hospice care, and I was playing these 2 piano jobs. One was at a Cajun restaurant, and one was at one of the big casinos, in the lobby of the big casino. And at the end of the night, I could barely walk. And when my husband was driving me home from the last job, and I put the seat back, and I couldn't find no position that didn't hurt. There was no way because I thought, oh, I'll just lay down and that'll make it go away. But nothing. And so the next day I made an appointment to see somebody, and they were able to do the x-rays and discover what I had never known. Never had any, nobody ever even talked about it when I was a child. Yeah, today, all school kids in America get screening for scoliosis so that you can nip it in the bud. So that was me realizing it and quantifying it on a scale of 1 to 10. I thought it was an 11, and when you go to the doctor, they ask you those questions. So I was very well able to identify how it hurt, shooting pain and aching pain, and was it muscular? Yeah, it was. I felt like it was muscular rather than, wasn't like a bone pain. Yeah, but I kind of lost track of what the actual question was. It was, was I able to identify it? Yes, I was. Was I able to describe it? Yes, I was. What else did you want me to ponder?
Difference between acute and chronic, which we went over. So it's chronic pain.
Yeah.
And then get it checked out, which you did.
There you go.
All right. So now the next point is, so now you've understood what it is and what might have contributed to that pain. So either the doctor says, oh yeah, you've got a broken bone, or, something very obvious. But more often than not, it's really hard to pinpoint why you're undergoing pain, because pain is a symptom of something else, which that drives us insane. Why the heck am I undergoing it? How did this happen? Why? Healthcare providers are the best for that, because the next step is you develop a pain management plan. So once you get an idea of the type of pain you're undergoing, then you need to have a plan on how to keep it under control or get rid of it totally. And the things here are just they're logical. Okay, so you work with a healthcare professional, and here I'm going to jump in and say, don't go to just anyone. Really vet, make sure that you're very comfortable with who is giving you health advice, because all of us have our own beliefs on how you manage pain. And some people just jump right in, give me the drug or give me the operation. I can't stand it. I just want to get rid of it. Other people say, no drugs ever. I'm never going to go under the knife. Whatever your beliefs are, you need to be working with someone who is aligned with you, more or less. Yeah. They've gone through all the training to get their doctorate, and they work with many more people. But personally, I found that there are just some that I'll never have agreement with the path that they would suggest I go down. And others, I love them to bits, but also what they're suggesting isn't right for me. They may be great for someone else, but they're not right for me. So, all right, with that advice, develop a pain management plan. Give us an idea of some of the plans that you've explored, because I know you so well, and you've said, okay, I'm doing this and this is really helping and whatever. So give us some examples of some of your pain management plans for what I know has been very painful episodes for you.
Well, I go back to the same thing that we discussed when we were talking about weight loss and diets and this and that, because we're so different, each one of us. And I loved the first doctor I ever saw for the scoliosis. By the way, I've done everything except surgery, back surgery. I've done if you can think up a protocol, I have done that protocol. Mm-hmm. And almost everything helped a little. And it isn't until just recently, and I'll come to that, but the first thing I did was I loved the doctor, and he wanted me to do traction. He said, because you've got a reverse curve in your neck, it's going backwards from what it should be it should be going this way, but it's going that way. And he put me in traction, and I went every day to the doctor, every single day between jobs, playing piano here, go to the doctor, play piano there. And for 1 year, I did traction, and it wasn't pleasant. Traction in his world was beyond what was pleasant, and it did not reverse my curve. Now, they had terrific success with other people with it reversing their curve. I wore a brace. I wore a dynamic brace with air pockets inside of it, that they would fill the air pockets to squish my spine to go the way they wanted. I wore that for 2 years. Neither I nor my husband enjoyed that brace. I slept in it. Wow. The only time I didn't have it was when I was taking a shower.
Wow.
It wasn't any fun. and it worked, except a month after I stopped wearing it, I was back to the same original measurements of my scoliosis. Wow. So I've been through a lot of things. One thing that changed it a lot was a book, addressing it from an emotional, mental, spiritual point of view. I read a book, and something in the book just tweaked me, and I recognized that in a certain way I was carrying on a disability of my mother. She had a highly curved, she had kyphosis, which is different from scoliosis. It's like a hump, like an old lady hump. And there was something about that connection to my mom and her painful journey. And I saw it illuminated for me how that could have impacted me. And do you know that I was pain-free for the next 4 or 5 months? It didn't stay pain-free. It kind of crept back. I had a hard time really acknowledging that something of the mind could have that much power over the body. But since that day, I haven't had to wear a brace, but then at a later time, I was back in a wheelchair. I had to do some studies and I was in a wheelchair because I can't sit. And to this day, let me ask you this question. You have a little scoliosis. Have you ever turned down an invitation to dinner because you knew that the restaurant had uncomfortable chairs, or turned down an invitation to a cocktail party because you knew you couldn't stand? I can't
No, but
stand.
I've actually been in chairs where I thought the designer of this chair was misformed. You know, they must have had like a
Cruel.
freakish skeleton because it didn't fit inside of anybody's back. You know, the curve went like if a back goes like this, the curve went, yeah. So it was just so wrong. It hit me at every place, and it's a place that I would go to regularly. But I also refuse to bring the things that people who do have chronic back pain often, you see them with pillows or something so that they are able to sit.
I had a specially made chair that fit into chairs. I would carry that to weight about 30 pounds. I'd carry that chair around, folding chair. And then I had pillows everywhere. I got can't do a podcast. This is my podcast.
Pillow's pretty, at least. So
yeah, it's pretty.
but you have to use one.
Were extremely helpful, Linda, and the things that were helpful. My gosh, we could do like a whole podcast. I don't know how deep you want me to go. You actually introduced me to a place. We both live in Florida, and you introduced me to the St. John Pain Center, and it's a place where they do. I want to tell you the name of it. I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to look at the name. The name of it is neurosomatic therapy.
That's right.
Remember when you introduced me to that? And you had some benefits and I had some benefits. It's a manual therapy, like a massage therapy, but it designs imbalances in the soft tissue and the muscles and tendons and ligaments, which chiropractors don't focus on the soft tissue. And they say that the soft tissue is very important. They do deep tissue massage, myofascial release, trigger point therapy, and joint manipulation. And boy, oh boy, didn't I start to see some change. And they analyzed the mechanics of my body. For example, even though one leg is not shorter than the other, it acts as though it were shorter because my hips are cattywampus. Wow. So they put me into a full shoe brace. I had lift, and I had lifts before, and the lifts gave me terrific pain. I was very scared to do this. He said, that's because you only had the lift in the heel. You have to have the lift the length of your foot. And by golly, it actually helped so much. I walk differently now, and when I walk, you'll see that my shoulders are even. Most chiropractors would look at me and instantly know that normal people wouldn't know I had scoliosis, but chiropractors or medical professionals would know. So that St. John Pain Center, if you've got a pain center that does neurosomatic therapy, I would say that was one of the things that really helped. And you know me, I tried everything. There's a beautiful spa where they have red light therapy. I'm big on near infrared and far infrared light therapy. And they had compression therapy, and they had PEMF, which I had my own PEMF machine, and cryotherapy, going in the ice chamber. Oh yeah, you could. I have videos of me dancing because that's the only way I could tolerate the cryotherapy. So here's the thing. You have to be your own lab, because if cryotherapy works for me, that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And if red light therapy, near or far infrared, one warms you up and from the outside, and one warms you up from the inside, that's not a good explanation. Scratch that. Go look up the differences. Ask your favorite search engine to tell you the difference between the two. But they're two different types, and you would use both. But you need that. ultimately, the same thing I say when talking about keto. I don't know if keto is going to do you good. It didn't. My body loves it. My body loves red light therapy. My body loves pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. That's PEMF. I don't know if it's going to help you. So you have to become an advocate. And if you can't become an advocate for yourself, find somebody who will be your accountability partner and who will push you. It could be a family member or a spouse or a friend, but you need to find out for yourself. You're an experimenter. You've got some, it's not pain, but it's the pain of not, we talked about it before, about the pain of not sleeping a really good night's sleep, high quality, not just quantity, but the high quality. You have been on an absolute, you're like a scientist. You're working with your lab for pain. I think that's, because I've even had, you can get injections of, what's the injection for your knee or for, not PRP, but it's a cortisone.
Okay.
Cortisone.
Yeah.
So I went to get these cortisone shots and it crippled me for a month. Whereas my friend was pain-free after her cortisone shots. Me, I was crippled for a month. So I don't know. I probably didn't answer your question very satisfactorily because I've got.
You did.
Yeah.
Let me actually that's a pain management plan. So you've been on a lot of different plans. You've kept in the ones that are working for you. Each person is their own experiment. So you have to be willing to try different things that align with your belief system. And some things may work, some things may not. So there's earlier I talked about keeping a journal. It's not a bad idea. Journal, you don't need to keep specifically a pain journal, although maybe you want to do that. But a journal just in general is good to be able to go back and reflect on what you were doing at a certain point on your life. I just hit my microphone. Anyway.
The thought of writing every day about my pain is like, I don't know, something about it, but I keep a journal that is almost like a yearly journal. And I always notate like doctor's visits. I notate what medications. And so I guess I am keeping a journal. So I shouldn't have made that face. I made a bad face. I retract the bad face.
Yeah, only good faces are allowed here. But somehow the ability to go back and say, what was I doing? Reorient yourself to, this was a really good time in my life. So what was I doing? Who was I hanging out with? What physical activities did I have as part of my life? Which is actually the next point. And this is a really important one. Pain, you're undergoing pain. And like Karen said, have you ever turned down going to someplace because the pain, you knew you were going to have so much pain going, it wasn't worth it, in the balance. So pain prevents you from doing things. And one of the things that sometimes comes up, especially if it's physical pain, is you stop exercising. You stop doing those things that your body actually needs to have integrity. Integrity meaning all the parts are working together. They're put together the way that they should. They're integrated. So physical exercise is critical in keeping your pain levels reduced. You have to, again, keep a gauge on your body on how much is too much and how much is not enough. And because the body operates on systems, so there's the musculature system, you've got your digestive system, you've got lots of systems going on, lymphatic system. All those things in working together need movement. We're not meant to just sit still. And if we do, just like water that isn't in motion, is we start to get stagnant. And that means that your digestion gets sucky, your breathing gets worse, your heart's having to work harder, nothing about your body's happy. So physical strategies for pain relief is the next point to keep in. And again, you can journal it or you can just remember it. What makes you feel better at this point in your body's existence? What's enough? What's not enough? And then you need to have the discipline and the consistency to keep that enoughness in, and then increase it bit by bit.
There's this powerful motivator in pain. And some people tell me that I'm disciplined. I think you told me I'm very disciplined.
You are disciplined.
I don't feel like it, but because I
You
wish
don't
I
let
were.
yourself go downstairs without sitting on your vibration pad, where I'm just like, oh, should I get on mine? Mine is more,
But
I don't have chronic pain, so it isn't.
so the pain is like the pain from the knee surgery was a real blessing in my life, because if I don't do the exercises that they told me to do, that will be a waste of that 4 months of painful recuperation. And I don't want this to be a waste. I want it to be, because this knee is going to be with me for 40 more years. I want us to be on real good terms, right? So when you know that you're doing something that will guard you from the pain and ward off the pain, ward off future pain, that's a powerful stimulator. And it's for people who are trying to lose weight, because excess weight causes pain.
Yes, absolutely.
It causes it actually I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you the fancy names of the hormones that your fat produces cytokines, and the cytokines make you hurt. Fat makes you hurt. What do you think about that? Not just the fact that you're carrying around, it's so uncomfortable. I think I have a friend who's incredibly overweight, and she's suffers from it, and it's hard to move, and it's hard to sit, and it's hard to stand up, and it's hard to walk. And my heart, we've never discussed the possibility of losing weight. We've never discussed it, because I don't know how to say to somebody, you need to address this, because I'm sure somebody's told her, and it's her business. It's not my business to tell her. But my heart just breaks, because overweight hurts. So I think maybe one of my best strategies, just like my doctor told me last month, he said, because he noticed I'd lost weight, and he said, losing weight is practically a cure-all for every disease. Practically, not he didn't make it 90.
Alan's hot.
Yeah. So my pain has motivated me to be disciplined, because of the fear of the pain worsening back to what it used to was.
Right.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm just going to touch on some simple physical strategies for pain relief. And we're talking chronic pain again. Gentle exercises like walking. Walking's such a huge thing, and it's very, very popularized once again now. But walking, swimming, yoga, all of those things can relieve pain. Good posture, which is huge. How many people don't think about their posture, and just the fact that their posture's bad, it's creating pain for them. So yoga stresses it a lot in yoga poses. I see that face. Yoga poses. And I've just observed for myself, when I'm doing things and then suddenly I just straighten up and align my spine and everything, it takes all sorts of pressure off the body.
That's wonderful. I'm dying to tell you a funny, this is so silly, and I can't even, it never occurred to me to say it to anybody, but these are women. We're talking to women, right?
Yeah,
we're not talking to men. Okay. So when you get really, really heavy, you don't like to wear a bra, because it really hurts. So you mostly go without a bra. So I've spent the last 6 years pretty much without a bra. And I had my chiropractor said, you've got to start wearing a bra. And I was like, what? I think she meant it for the PR of it, like how you look and how you present yourself, which is true. But once I got a little thinner, I started to wear a bra, and it made my posture change, because when you don't wear a bra, you're kind of slumping over to hide the fact that you're not wearing a bra. You don't want to, you want to show the world, right? Now I'm like, yes, achy me. I'm going to walk with good. Do you know that my back is feeling better and better? And I used to not even be able to walk a mile because my back hurt too much, let alone the knee. Now I'm walking 2 to 3 miles and I'm just walking around with good posture and my back is starting to thank me for it.
And the girls are leading the way, right?
I lost a lot of boubage and boutage. You know what that is, boubage? That's the French.
Boubage, yes, and boutage, yes, I do.
Boobage and buttage.
That's right. All right, and continuing, some other physical things you can do: heat and cold therapy. You've talked about it. Infrared. In fact, we just ordered one of the little infrared wraps.
I got one last week.
Yeah. And my husband was using it last night, and I said, "So how'd you feel?" And he said, "It gave me a headache." And I went, "When it gave you a headache, that's bad." It was for his shoulder, which is, he has a chronic tear there. He said, "But my shoulder felt a lot better." So it was totally worth it because the headache went away and my shoulder is healing, and he could tell. So that was a good thing.
Yay.
All right. And then physical therapy, something you're very familiar with. So those are the physical things. And by the way, we've put together a checklist of the tips, the things that we're talking about. So for anyone that would like a copy of our checklist, just comment checklist in the comments below, and we will send you a copy. Okay, so next, to handle chronic pain are mental and emotional techniques. Now, you mentioned being crabby.
I didn't think I was crabby.
Your husband noticed you were. Okay. So here are some of the things you can do that are helpful: relaxation techniques, deep breathing, relaxing, being mindful. For people who really like meditation or being able to just sort of calm or quiet your mind, sometimes that frantic mind contributes to, it's just thrown in with the buzz of pain, because pain does whatever it does to you. And so there you go. So things that manage your...
I want to ask you a question. I just cut you off. I'm sorry. So sorry. Have you researched anything about binaural beats? Because that's something that I was just introduced to a couple of nights ago, and it promotes calmness. It's great for when you're meditating or when you want to go to sleep, like before you go to sleep or even while you're sleeping. Have you researched binaural beats?
Super familiar with it. So really? Like you've done alternatives in one direction. Yeah. Many years ago. I'm going to tell you a quick little story, and then the one that I use. There are a ton of them. Binaural beats. So quick explanation. If you look at a brain actually has two halves, and it literally does. And so you've got inputs. Your body's kind of split down the middle, right? You got two eyes, two ears. So your brain and centers of activity for different sides of your brain are different. Binaural beats, the theory behind it is certain sound waves that one is input on one side, one's input on the other. The mix in between creates a particular kind of energy. And I was going to show you, let me see if I can find my brain.fm is the thing, brain.fm. And let me see if I can find brain. Oh, here he is. He's a little happy face on my phone. But almost every sleep app has stuff like that. Okay, so this is what it looks like. These are all binaural beats, if you can see it. And so it's focus, relax, sleep, meditate. And what actually happens is there's a layer of music on top of these sounds. And you need to have earphones on for optimal use, because the sound has to come in from different sides. But so I use this a lot, especially when I'm working. So on focus, it's got deep work, motivation, creativity, learning, light work, and then I can choose a music style I like on top of it. So
I can't
brain.fm.
believe the synchronicity. That is just so funny because just 2 days ago is when I started. What's this binaural beats all about? And here you are. Oh my gosh, that is too
Super
funny.
familiar with it, and I've used it. It helps in a lot of different ways. It's not. Sometimes I just sort of like, get that off me. But I also do things that are alternative things in it. I was raised by a hippie mama before hippies ever existed. So I had health foods at an early age and had to like not eat sugar and things like that, which was very weird back in the day. But she was anti-medicine in a big way. And I've had to overcome that a little bit. But moving forward to the alternatives, we'll list some of the ones that we've used that are helpful. And then maybe we'll just have one of our episodes will be just on all of the alternatives that we've used that are non-drug, that kind of stuff, and what effect they've had on helping us and what anecdotal stories we've heard. So, because I'm going to say one thing on pain management, you and I have a mutual friend who has such a long list of things that are wrong, that are vague. There's can't really say why the body's doing what it's doing. But one of those creates horrible pain for this. It's a woman friend of ours that we love and adore.
But you're talking about they didn't list this out, but Lyme disease is a terrible destroyer of the human morale because Lyme disease, and that's only one of the things that person has going. So there's a lot of pain, and often there's a lot of pain involved with Lyme disease.
I'm going to bring up one thing. So one thing was the amount of pain was so severe that she really couldn't function well at all. And she had to do all sorts of unusual things to mitigate the pain. And her doctor said, go get a shot of Botox in the muscles that are controlling your head. And she said, no, are you kidding me? I'll never do that. And then finally, she went and did it. And the relief was so great. It didn't affect anything else about her body, but it paralyzed these muscles that were continuously clenched. That now, I think every 6 months, she goes to get a shot. And it is a way for her to survive. So that's one of her points of pain management, that, again, it's severe, and it hit against her beliefs until the pain became so much that she was willing to try it. And then when she did, it fit her life okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so rolling forward. So we've gone mental and emotional techniques, healthy lifestyle habits. That goes without saying. Karen, again, I turn to you on that, but we're going to skip over it. The final thing is creating a support system. And that's really important. Creating a support system if you are incapacitated by pain, or in order to manage your pain, you need to have those that you need to turn to when the pain gets too much. So it can be friends, it can be health professionals, it can be products. So, and I'm going to turn it over to you because, again, you have a lot to say in this area that is really good.
Well, one of the things that surprised me was how the sense of community around a particular ailment or pain that you're experiencing could make you feel heard and make you feel better. And on Facebook, whatever you may think of Facebook, it has its positives and it has its negatives. I'm really grateful for it because I know a whole bunch of people now who belong to a total TKR, total knee replacement group. And it's moderated by a gal who is a physical therapist who specializes only in total knee replacements. And that's her gig, and that's what she did. And she created this group. So the people on there, I've never saw such a positive, you see a lot of negative stuff on social media, and you see people slamming each other and talking smack about what the other person said. And no, this is a group where everybody's just reaching out to help me, and I reached back to help them. I introduced them to the little red light wrap that I got for my knee.
Yeah.
A week ago, I put it on there, a little video of the wrap going on and turning the red light on. And I never had so much relief from just knowing that other people were telling me, no, you're not crazy. Yes, it does feel like somebody's got a death grip on your knee. It's not exactly pain, but it's a tightness, and just all the things that you can do. So I really think mentally, emotionally, that having a group, maybe you go to a support group that's like a live meeting. Me, because of my back, not wanting to go to a meeting. I don't want to go. I went to a meeting last night. I didn't much want to go because I knew I was going to have to find a comfy chair because my back is still, I still take real good care of it. Well, that group has just meant everything to me. It's been like I have real new friends, from just from connecting with somebody else who's going through what you're going through. So that's one of the things that I found really beneficial. And then reading things that uplift me, reading things that give me maybe a clue. I like to read books that give me a clue about myself, and that one book that really changed the direction. It changed everything on my scoliosis. It was the turning point. And I
Fantastic.
think reaching out to others.
Exactly. All right. So we are at the end of our time together today for this episode. But if you would like to have the checklist that I mentioned that has different tips, there are 7 main tips, and then there are things you can do with those tips. Comment on checklist. Leave that or send us a direct message. And you can do that depending on where you're seeing this. Also, the products that we mentioned in this episode, we will provide links for those in our bio area, in our comment area. So if you're interested at all, you can check those things out more. Other than that, it's always a pleasure, Karen. And we are going to wrap it up for today and see you all next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.